Here is a question that most Muslims carry quietly and almost nobody asks out loud. When something hard happens in your life, when you lose something, when a door closes, when a plan falls apart, when the thing you prayed for did not come, how do you know if that is Allah testing you or Allah punishing you? Because the answer to that question changes everything. It changes how you respond. It changes how you feel about yourself. It changes whether you run toward Allah in that moment or quietly pull away from Him. And most Muslims have never been given a clear answer to it. Today that changes. Stay with me. Welcome to Gentle Ustaz. If this channel has ever given you something useful, subscribe right now and turn on the bell. Let us get into this. I am going to give you 7 specific signs that what you are going through is a test from Allah and not a punishment. But before we get to the signs, I need to tell you something about how most people misunderstand this completely, because if you do not understand the foundation, the signs will not make sense. And that foundation starts with a story. There was a man who had been trying to get a job for 8 months. He had applied to over 40 positions. He had been rejected from most of them without a response and interviewed for 6 of them and not gotten a single offer. He was praying 5 times a day. He was giving what little he had in charity. He was doing everything he knew to do. And month after month, the answer kept being no. By the 7th month, something started happening in his thinking that he did not notice at first. He started wondering if he had done something wrong. He started going back through his past, looking for the thing he had done that was causing this. He started to feel like Allah was angry with him specifically. Like the closed doors were not neutral events but messages. Like each rejection was a small punishment for something he could not identify. And the more he thought this way, the more his relationship with Allah shifted. The prayers became heavier. They stopped feeling like a conversation and started feeling like an apology. He stopped feeling like a servant being tested and started feeling like a defendant waiting for a sentence. And then one day a mentor said something to him that completely changed the frame. He said, "What makes you think Allah is angry with you?" And the man said, "Because everything keeps going wrong." And the mentor said, "Do you know who in this entire history of humanity experienced the most things going wrong? The prophets. Do you know who had the most doors close on them, the most plans fall apart, the most losses pile up? The people Allah loved most. Do you understand what that means for your situation?" That conversation did not immediately fix the man's circumstances. He still did not have a job yet. But something shifted in how he was carrying the hardship. And 2 months later, a door opened that he had not even knocked on. A position that matched everything he had been asking for. From a company he had never applied to. Through a connection he had not pursued. And when he looked back at the 8 months of closed doors, he could see with complete clarity that every single rejection had been keeping him available for this exact opportunity. Every no had been a navigation. Not a punishment. A redirection. Here is what most Muslims have never been taught clearly. Tests and punishments in Islam are not the same thing, and they do not look the same, and they do not produce the same results in the person experiencing them. A punishment in Islam is a consequence that is meant to redirect a person away from disobedience. It is connected to a specific action, and it is meant to produce awareness, regret, and return. A test from Allah is something completely different. A test is not connected to wrongdoing. A test is given to people precisely because Allah wants to elevate them. The Prophet said that the people tested most severely are the prophets, then those closest to them, then the next level. The test is not a sign of anger. It is a sign of proximity. When Allah loves a servant, He tests them. And the person who responds to the test with patience is being built into something greater than they were before the test began. This one truth, when it actually lands, changes the entire emotional experience of hardship. Because you are no longer a person being punished by a distant creator. You are a person being trained by a loving one. So how do you know if what you are in right now is a test? Here are 7 signs. Sign 1. You still feel drawn to Allah. This is the most important sign, and it is the first one for a reason. When a hardship is a test, it pulls you toward Allah even when it is painful. You find yourself making more supplication, not less. You find yourself at the prayer mat more, not less. You find yourself wanting to read more, ask more, seek more. Punishment tends to produce the opposite, a pulling away, a feeling of shame that makes you avoid the connection rather than run toward it. If your hardship is making you need Allah more, that is not punishment. That is refinement. Sign 2, you have not stopped trying. A person who is simply being punished often experiences a paralysis, a feeling of defeat that makes forward movement feel pointless. A person being tested keeps trying even when the results are not coming. They submit another application. They try another approach. They get up after the fall. If you are still trying, still moving, still believing that the next action might be the one that opens the door, you are in a test, not a sentence. Sign 3, the hardship is making you grow. Tests produce growth. They develop qualities in you that ease could never have built. Patience, gratitude for small things, empathy for others in difficulty, a deeper understanding of what actually matters. If you look at yourself now compared to before the hardship began, and you can see qualities in yourself that were not there before, what you are in is a forge, not a punishment. Sign 4, other areas of your life still have blessing. When Allah tests a person, He does not withdraw all His mercy simultaneously. Tests are usually concentrated, one area of difficulty against a background of ongoing provision and grace. If the job is not coming but your health is intact and your family is present and your faith is alive, you are being tested in one dimension while being sustained in all the others. Look for where the blessing is still flowing. It is almost always still flowing somewhere. Sign 5, you sense there is something being built. Tests come with a particular quality that is hard to describe but very real to experience. A quiet sense underneath the difficulty that something is in motion. That this is not permanent. That there is a reason even when the reason is not visible. Punishment tends to feel closed and final. Tests tend to feel purposeful even in the pain. If somewhere underneath your difficulty there is a conviction that this is not the end of the story, listen to that conviction. It is usually accurate. Sign 6, the difficulty arrived without clear wrongdoing attached to it. Not every hardship is a punishment, but some hardships are directly connected to specific choices. If you can trace a line between a decision you made and the consequence you are experiencing, that might be a correction. But if the hardship arrived without that clear connection, if you were doing everything right and the difficulty came anyway, that is almost always a test. The man who had been praying and giving and living with integrity for months before the job search began was not experiencing the consequence of wrongdoing. He was experiencing the training ground of someone being prepared for something. Sign 7, you come out of it closer to Allah than when you went in. This is the sign you can only see in retrospect, but it is the clearest of all of them. Tests leave you closer to Allah when they end. They leave you with a deeper understanding of your own need for Him, a deeper gratitude for what you have, a deeper certainty about what actually matters. If you look back at the hardest seasons of your life and you can see that they produced something in your relationship with Allah that the easy seasons never did, then what those seasons were, whatever they felt like while you were in them, was not punishment. It was refinement. It was love expressed through difficulty by a creator who knew exactly what that season was building. The man in the story got his job. But more than that, he got something that the job itself could not have given him without the 8 months before it. He got a certainty about where his provision comes from that he did not have before. He got a patience that was built through practice rather than inherited. He got the specific kind of trust that can only be formed in the space between the prayer and the answer. If you are in a hard season right now, check the 7 signs. And if most of them are present, I want you to consider a different frame for what you are in. Not a punishment from a distant creator. A test from a close one. One who sees you completely, knows what this is building in you, and has already written the moment it ends. Which of these 7 signs showed up in your life during a hard season? Drop the number in the comments. And share this with one person who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to Gentle Ustaz. May Allah make your tests a means of elevation.